Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another season here of the GSL, the Global StarCraft League 2025 Season 2, Round of 8, Group A. I'm, of course, your ZvT. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in chat, and by these chains that bind us. Oh, no. As we do catch up with some GSL coverage. For those of you curious, of course, GSL did occur last week, specifically Group Stage 2. The round of 8. The round of 8 was last week, and of course the semis and grand finals was over the weekend, was yesterday, less than 24 hours ago. But we are here to catch up this week. We're here to catch up on the group stage and on the semis and the grand finals throughout the course of the week. Let's go. We're here to catch on up, and it's been quite a season. Again, a very condensed season, a very condensed period in StarCraft as well. It does feel like all these big premier events, they want to wrap up and get all these matches done and over with before EWC. Just a very tight schedule here, and the schedule continues, referring to Stars Agora even last week, GSL this week. We have EWC Global Qualifiers this weekend, and we have Home Story Cup after that as well. So again, there's just so much happening in such a condensed period of time, and we're here to get through it as well. Let's go, baby, let's go. Also, shout out to those in the chat. I see baby links in the chat. I see iStan as well. Thank you so much, Beefy, for the kind words. Do appreciate it. I know how you streamed starting at 1 a.m. yesterday, but thanks again for casting cheese. Always, Pappy, always. But you think casting at 1 a.m. in the morning is gonna stop us? No, Pappy, no. We cannot be stopped. We cannot be stopped. We cast everything, at least as much as we can, as much as we can. Even we have some limitations, unfortunately. I've mentioned this before, but there are some tournaments that we do have to turn down just because they're overlapping, right? They're overlapping, they're happening at the same time, or there are some events that we cannot cover because we would like to sleep at some point, at least a little bit. at least a little bit. I think yesterday, what did we sleep? Like we slept 4 hours and 24 hours, something like that. The day of cheese, it was it was intense. it was intense, man. It was intense. But we're here, we're back to catch up on that GSL action, of course. Here to catch up, and let us catch up and have a look at the matches ahead of us. Here we go as we switch our teams over and catch up on our group. We have 4 players here. We have 2 Zerg, 2 Terran. We have Rogue, GuMiho, Solar, and Maru. A ZvT group here of GSL. No Protoss involved. Not in this group, at least. That'll be Group B. We'll get there, and this is going to be an interesting one to get into. Of course, there's been a lot of hype and a lot of support around GuMiho as of late. The reasoning for this is because GuMiho, he came so close yet so far to making it into EWC proper, and one of the ways for him to make it through would be to win GSL, to place highly enough. What I mean by that, players like Maru and Solar, they're already in EWC because of their performances at DreamHack Dallas. So specifically in regards to the Esports World Cup, there is a lot more pressure on some players than on others if their goal is specifically to qualify and to be a part of that Esports World Cup. So I know that a lot of the Seoul boys were definitely behind GuMiho when it came to the EWC Korean qualifiers, and I believe GuMiho, he will be a part of the Last Chance Global qualifier this weekend. Again, depending on how his performances go here in GSL, will depend on how much that does impact that, alongside many of the other players, Rogue included in that as well. So in regards to the greater picture of EWC, there's going to be a lot more pressure on GuMiho and Rogue coming into this group, a little bit less on Solar and Maru, but again, despite that, we still have the best players in the world here. Maru has been an interesting one to follow this year. For those who remember, Maru, he did take the off-season off. He took a very long time off at the start of the year because that he was looking a little bit rough around the edges when he returned for GSL Season 1. We saw Maru stumble a little bit in the qualifiers, and likewise did go down in the group stage. In Group Stage 2 actually as well, he did go down last season, and things were looking a little bit more shaky around the edges. He looked a little bit more well refined the week after that, coming into DreamHack Dallas. DreamHack Dallas, of course, is where Maru did pop off. What I will say though is that there was a common thread between his games at DreamHack Dallas and GSL Season 1, and that is non-stop all-ins. Non-stop all-ins in TVP and non-stop all-ins in TVZ. That's why, even though Maru did an amazing job, of course, at DreamHack Dallas, I was left a little bit wanting in regards to wanting more out of his games, more mid-game, more late-game. I was personally left a little bit dissatisfied with the games that we had gotten, because I wanted a little bit more out of that, and hopefully we get some of that here in GSL Season 2. That's my hope, at least. We'll see. what Mario does have to offer. Likewise, of course, Solar, he also had an amazing performance at DreamHack as well. Bearing in mind there was a bit of a break, a bit of an interim between Group Stage 1 and Group Stage 2 because of DreamHack, because of specifically EWC qualifiers and the Stars Agora as well. And we'll see how players do come in prepared. I mean, that's the other great thing about GSL, is that you do have time to prepare for your matches. Likewise, you already know your opponents ahead of time as well. And hey, our players here don't have to worry about their versus Protoss matchups. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Seems like I hardly see macro games anymore. I would say I would probably agree with the phrasing of hardly, just because we still do get them, but there has been an upswing and uptick in regards to more aggressive builds, for sure. 100%. More all-ins, more aggression in a lot of matchups. In TVP, TVZ, and specifically those two. ZvP, we still get a lot more longer games, specifically in Zerg versus Protoss, but we also still see a lot of Zerg players attempt and then fail to all in. We see a lot of that. But I would say right now, out of the three main like diverse matchups, I think ZvP is the matchup that we get the most mid to late game out of all three, currently, at least in the current meta. But again, the meta is shifting. The meta has been shifting. And yo, a big shout out to I start in the chat. God, my God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for gifting us up earlier to Beefy, and also for gifting us sub to check out to the community to check out as well. So thank you so much. And also a big shout out to Chileno Singaporean. God, my God. Thank you so much. One of our longtime supporters of the channel for 48 months with a Twitch Prime. Thank you. Thank you. Do appreciate the support. Do appreciate it. Here we go. We are going to be jumping in to our initial ZvT to Rogue versus GuMiho. Game 1 is going to be on Maganatha. Let's go. Let us go. Oh my God. As we're getting into it, speaking of gifted subs, we have 3 more gifted subs from my son. Thank you. I got 40 in total. Oh, you spoke about that OCD earlier. I understand, Papi. You had to round it out, Papi. You had to round it. Yeah. There it is. We hate uneven numbers. Oh no. But thank you so much to Spurious, to Inawar, and to Francis Frog as well. Congratulations. Hope you enjoy the subs. And thank you so much, Istan, for the gifted support as well. As we are jumping into our initial best of 3 and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Maganatha, we have our South Korean Zerg player. We have our Blue Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing Seoul Esports. It is GuMiho. We go. And when it comes to greater context here of the group, of course, it is a GSL format group. Winner plays against winner, loser against loser, and then we have the decider match thereafter. 5 best of 3s in total here tonight, and we are here with our first as we open up on the low ground. Now, based on the setup here, it does look like 2x Reaper out of GuMiho, but there is a build, a special build, that made by Juanito, that's why it's called the special build, where you go racks into factory, into a CC on the low ground, into a bit of a greedier build and a greedier start, and it does look like that is going to be the case from GuMiho. So again, Juanito, for those who are unaware, Juanito, he's actually the creator of not just this opener, but also of the 2x Reaper. 2x Reaper special did start it, but then Bjorn and Maru did perfect it. Like Bjorn, he spent the entirety of, what was it, 2023, just doing nothing but the special build. I feel like that bled into 2024 as well. It was crazy. Which was 2x Reaper. But yes, this is going to be racks expand into the factory. Now, the goal, the purpose here is you're able to fully wall this area off early on. What this means is that you are safe against a pool first. If your opponent did go pool first, makes links early on, tries to sneak out across the map and delay the CC, well, now they cannot because you have a full wall, and now your Reaper is free to zoom across the map. Now, on the one hand, this does keep you safe against pool first. The downside here is that it does mean that if Rogue were to go for a Roach-based build, and if he were to go for Roach-based aggression, meanwhile, it was an earlier pool. So it was a pull first, so this is ideal. Like, this is just almost a hard counter here by GuMiho. These Zerglings, their goal is to delay the CC, but they can't. They cannot, not anymore, because of the full wall. So really solid choice here from GuMiho. Really nice read. The downside, as we were getting into, if Rogue does go for a Roach base all-in, following this is all the production is exposed. Typically, Roach all-ins hit the natural, as I say Roach all-ins, Roach aggression and early game Roach pushes hit the natural, and the Terran player just abandons it. They get a bunker on the high ground, they lift the CC, they float their SCVs into the main base, and they just defend on one base, and then they slowly retake their natural. But here, they wouldn't be able to, because now all the production is also exposed at the natural base as well. So if they give up the natural, they give up everything. So that's the one risk that you take here, is that you are more vulnerable to Roach aggression and early game Roach timings and Roach all-ins. But as we can see, Rogue is droning. Rogue is saturating. On top of that, we're on Maganatha. Welcome on all to Maganatha. Maganatha is the largest map in the map pool, so the chances of there being an all-in is much lower. So this is like a calculated decision here by GuMiho. He should get away with this. Oh, I spoke too soon. That's a Roach one. That's a 320 Roach one, and that was a 310-ish lair timing. So very fast lair out of Rogue, very fast Roach one out of Rogue as well. And it's possible that Rogue, upon seeing the setup here, sees this, and he's like, yo, I want that production. Like, yo, I want to try to get some damage done here. So gases are being taken. Third base is heavily delayed to afford everything. Right? That's why we're stuck on 2 bases. That's why we're able to afford the lair, afford the Roach horn, afford all the setup here, is we sacrifice a third. Meanwhile, Hellion Reaper does poke in. Queens are in position. So far, so good. They fully wall up. Yeah, there's no way in. No way into the bases. Behind this, going into Cloak Banshee. Meanwhile, GuMiho, he has not seen the main base yet, but he can assume, right? Upon seeing no expansion, he can assume 2 base Roach, maybe 2 base Muta. Like, technically, 2 base Muta would also be possible with this kind of setup. We know that it isn't, but it's still on GuMiho to piece together what's going on. And so now it's going to be zoned away. Roach speed is being researched. That would be a tell. Third base now is spotted. GuMiho is aware. So he's now aware that there's an expansion. It's not an all-in. But Roaches are still amassing nonetheless. And we're waiting for Roach speed. Behind this, Cloak Mage is almost done. And we're going 1-1-1 into a third TZ into mech. We're meching it up here. We have more factories on the way. Again, there has been an uptick when it comes to mech. Bjorn, of course, did whip out mech last season in GSL Season 1, but GuMiho, he has always been one to embrace mech, even before it was cool, even before the bugged Cyclone. GuMiho, he was always meching it up, again, more so than others, so he was meching before it was mainstream. He's that hipster, if you will. So it shouldn't be too much of a surprise here. I mean, hey, GuMiho, he even plays mech against Protoss every now and then. Every now and then, of course, he would. Infamously, of course, it was the previous Home Story Cup where he had the finals against Showtime, where he did mech Showtime quite a bit. So now the Banshee does back off. Did poke into the bases, was deflected. GuMiho, he did at least see the lair. He is not fully aware if there's any further tech here, but so far he's secure. So far he's just settling on down, getting to his factories. Overseer does confirm everything that's going on, and Rogue is droning. Rogue, I was assuming that maybe he would go for an earlier move out, but the problem here is, I didn't really get to talk about it, but Banshee-based openers and the faster Cloak Banshee that we saw here out of GuMiho is designed to shut down Roaches, right? If we saw an early Roach push, the Banshees, they would just get free damage on the Roaches and shut it down. So this kind of opener here from GuMiho was just really, really safe, and the Roaches, or a Roach push, is going to be deflected, and with that, going into mech. Now, thankfully, Rogue is aware, and he's already got his Roach setup. He's going into Roach Hydra. That's an interesting setup here from Rogue. Typically, the more traditional way to deal with mech is to go into Lingbane Roach Ravager, where you have the Roach Ravager as supportive units, and your Lingbane is designed to try to catch and surround and look down the battle mech, or the traditional form of mech. Going into Roach Hydra against a tank-heavy composition feels a little bit weird. Now, I don't really know if Rogue is fully aware of the composition specifically. He might be thinking it's battle mech, but here, going for a really tank-heavy style is ideal against all things Zerg, or at least against all things this Zerg, Roach and Hydra. Here we go. Rogue is pushing. Rogue is pushing. He cuts workers early. This is a 2.5 base all in. There's no droning. Like, there's half base saturation at the third. There's no fourth base. He's just sending it across the map. Ooh, and the army gets spotted. The army is spotted. The Hellbats are morphed in. The tanks are somewhat exposed. Rogue, can he pull this off? Can he break that siege line? Yeah, there's minimal support. Fourth base is cancelled. Tanks are late to siege. They are late to siege here. They have to pull away. Oh, but the tank boys, yeah, they're brutal. The tank boys are brutal, and even though we were late to siege, even though we were in the middle of getting another expansion, the tank line shuts down the Roach Hydra. And this is where Roach Hydra struggles, again, as opposed to Ling Roach Ravager. What do Lings do? Lings, they're not built really to kill, but they do tank. They close distance, they close that gap, and they get on top of the tanks. They're able to get us around as well. It's a much cheaper army. Going into Roach Hydra, it's not ideal. It can't really do much against a siege line like this. Now, where that changes is Vipers, right? If we're able to get into Hive Tech and get into Vipers, then suddenly, like, these Hydra-based compositions, they can do okay. They can do okay against mech, but straight up Roach Hydra, no shot. Like, it's just very slow, and as you saw, like, they just take so many tank shots as they try to close that distance. They don't have the speed of Zerglings. And with that, Rogue is deflected. And I'll be honest, I'm still not sold on this. I can see a world where Vipers can support this very nicely, but if I'm not mistaken, do we have any Vikings? We do. Yeah, 3 Vikings already. And the Viking, and we're getting more. We're getting more Vikings. I mean, I just mentioned how Roach Hydra struggles, but Roach Hydra Viper can excel. If I can make that deduction, so can GuMiho. And that's why GuMiho is already making Vikings. He's like, you know what? I'm fine. The one thing that can kill GuMiho would be Viper Tech. So he's like, you know what? Let me already just work on these Vikings. Let me build up that Viking count and make sure I'm safe against something like Viper Tech. And GuMiho is just securing himself. He is just securing himself. Behind this, we do have the Hive almost done, getting into +2 range. Again, this all tells us that we're still committing to Roach Ravager Hydra. We're not switching into Zerglings. And GuMiho, he's doing what he does best. He's walling up. He's walling up. He's walling up. We have sensor towers being thrown down. We have siege lines being set as well. Again, this is also where it's important to note that GuMiho, he's not going into battle mech, and he has a couple of cyclones sprinkled in. This is a more of a traditional form of mech. So this is a style that would have worked even previous patch, you know, before the change of the cyclone or before the unintended change of the cyclone. Like, that has nothing to do with this. Like, this is like, this is pure tank Hellbat. Tank Hellbat Viking. Again, this is mech before mech was trendy with the cyclones, man. No. GuMiho, he's old school. Meanwhile, here we go. 4 Vipers have arrived. As we mentioned, like, this suddenly makes the army of Rogue more viable, going into all these Vipers. And on the one hand, yes, there are Vikings for GuMiho. He's got 5, soon to be 7 Vikings, but this still comes down to positional play, right? If the Vikings are out of position, then Vipers can still come in, abduct, yoink, and blinding cloud. Vipers are gathering energy as we speak. Meanwhile, the Vikings are revealed. We have more Vikings on the way. We have that Spire in production for Rogue. This should be for eventual Broodlords, but I'll be honest, like, GuMiho's army is already almost perfect. Like, like he's got the Vikings ready. He's got his tanks. He's got his Hellbats. You could argue maybe there aren't enough Hellbats. The purpose of the Hellbats is not to do damage, is to just buffer, right? To tank for the tanks. To be that meat shield. Vipers, they yoink a couple of Cyclones. They yoink in a couple of... they yoink in the Vikings. Okay. Half of the Vikings do go down. Not bad. Ooh, now he's pushing into the choke points. Yeah, the tank boys are brutal here. He does get the first 2 tanks. Ugh. Not much more than that, though. Yeah, this is not where we want to move in. So far, GuMiho is edging ever closer, pushing towards the expansions. Pushing towards that center base. Likewise, Biles a knockdown. Ooh, the first tank. Even up Bile on the Viking, not bad. Decent Biles. And my biggest concern here, as he does get one more tank, is, again, we're working towards a greater Spire. Like, we're working towards Broodlords, but it's not safe to take in that direction. Not right now. Not with all these Vikings. Likewise, tanks are gaining ground. Vipers moving in. They do get a blinding cloud. They cover 1 tank. They do abduct a couple more. Then we got 3 tanks, 4 tanks going to be going down. Not bad. But I believe that costs him every single Viper. Yeah, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. Catching out 2 more tanks. Up. Getting 1 more. Whew. And we cannot stop. We cannot stop. We have to go for the bases. We have to go for the production. We have to go for the kill. As Rogue is committed. Tanks are trying to build up. Hydras, they get one more tank. Ooh, they get one more, but looks like only one more. Boys are being pulled. And GuMiho, he's barely holding on here. Yeah, it takes out all the Hydras, forces back the Roach Ravager. GuMiho holds. He does hold on, and Rogue, he traded with the army. Now, my concern here is that Rogue, he lost every Viper. He lost every Viper, he lost every Hydra, he lost every Ravager. He's down to pure Roach. We do have some Infestors on the way that will help against Battle Mech, and coincidentally, Battle Mech is on the way. Coincidentally, GuMiho is switching from that tank-heavy style into Mass Cyclone. So the Infestors, they will have their place here. You know, we do see GuMiho making 3 Banshees at a time. This is a form and a composition of mech that was very trendy like 2 years ago. If you remember TY, before he retired, he was also playing around with this style. It was TY, it was Ryung, and GuMiho as well, going for this battle mech Banshee style. This basically hit the field when High-Flight Rotors, when Banshees got, I want to say that they had like an uptick in utility. And it's a really good way to snipe specifically the Infestors. That's what the Banshees are for. They're built to snipe, to target down those Infestors and the Ravagers as well. Speaking of, yep, there it is. He goes to the Infestor. And immediately one Infestor goes down, and he wants the others. Like, that's the value that these Banshees bring. And already he does force out 2 Fungals. And we spoke about, like, how do you deal with Battle Mech? You deal with it with Fungal growth with Infestors, but they're all going down. The Infestors are being targeted, they're being sniped. One Fungal does graze the army. Yeah, we got the token Swarmhost on the way. Let's go. Yeah, Roaches, they get bullied back. There's 9 Infestors in production. Rogi's panicking. And you can see immediately another Infestor goes down. And these Banshees, they just shut down the Roaches so hard. They target down, oh, that's another Infestor. Yeah, they get another. And GuMiho, he is overwhelming. As he snipes another. Again, we had 9 Infestors popping out, and I want to say we're down to 5. Oh no, the token Swarmers, no! Not like this. And you can see just so many Fungals are forced to be spent earlier on the Banshees. Hydras, now they're trickling in. Banshee's going to be forced back. We have 3 more Infestors on the way, so this is just so gas intensive. Getting all these Infestors. And sure, now we have some Fungals, but there's no support here. There's no DPS, I should say. Neural is not being researched. GuMiho from here switching into Mass BC. He is so quick to tech switch, and he's making use of these starports. Remember, he had all these starports to make 3 Banshees at a time. Now 3 BCs at a time. That's like a more natural transition out of this. It's really well thought out, actually. Like, the transition is so much more seamless here. To go from regular mech into battle mech into Banshee support into BC, as he already has the production ready. That's yeah, that's scary. As thankfully we do have Neural on the way. Neural from Rogue. I will say that typically, or at least traditionally, when it comes to going for your BC transition from mech, it used to be a little more awkward. But not for GuMiho. As we do catch out some of the Banshees, not bad. And BCs are about to be revealed. The Neural's not done. Neural still needs a little bit more time. BCs, they just force back the army. Teleport into the main. Yo, if the infestation was in the main base, that would be terrifying. Thankfully, the pit is safe, so Neural will complete, and that is going to be the answer to the BCs. It's getting into Neural. Meanwhile, the Hive is going to get sniped. That means no more Vipers. I mean, Vipers are a non-factor anyway. Oh, there we go. Neural comes in. And he can chain Neural. Yeah, speaking of, he Neurals every single BC. Now he can focus himself down. And target himself. Behind this, more BCs. Now getting into Raven production as well. So we're taking to the skies and now switching into more of a tank-heavy composition. And GuMiho, he's just been so fluid with his army composition here. All the assimilations. Going for the gold. But remember, what just happened? He sniped the Hive. What does that mean? No Vipers. Without Vipers, now suddenly a more tank-heavy style is viable. Right, so GuMiho again, depending on what he snipes, depending on what he's forcing, he has been switching back and forth between Battle Mech, between BC, between Banshee, between tank. And now we just can't make Vipers. Like, how do you deal with the tank line without Vipers and without Broodlords? You don't. How many assimilations is this taking? This like what, like 6? So many neurals. So many neurals just to deal with 3 BCs. I say deal with 3. He killed 1. He killed 1 BC. The other 2 survived. They just tanked all those neurals. Jesus. Oh my god. Like only 1 BC has died this game. The other 2, they just tanked it. They're like, yeah, we just you can take over. It's fine. I'll just wait you out. I'll just wait it out. Okay, fair enough. So the neurals didn't do much, and now we're stuck with Mass Infestor. And Infestors, they're good against Battle Mech, they're good against BCs, they're not good against mass tank lines. Like, they cannot engage. Hellblaster on one left. Yep, GG gets called. GuMiho just all over Rogue here, and GuMiho takes game number 1. GG. That was crazy. GG, well played. Again, a very, how do I want to say, a very like active form of mech. When I say active, I mean in the sense that GuMiho, he was just so fluid with how he was actually producing mech as well, with the army composition that he had. It wasn't just like a one and done sort of deal, but he was so quick to switch things up from Hellion Tank Viking into Hellion Cyclone Banshee into BC, then snipe the Hive, then go back into tank, and Rogue was just one step behind. He was just one step behind the entire game. Like he was stuck trying to react to GuMiho, but again, like he was just working with incomplete information, or he was forced to kind of dance to the music of GuMiho instead. That was terrifying. Like that was scary. Hi. GG, well played. GuMiho does take game number 1. Now, what I will say is that Maganatha was the best map for this, right? Maganatha, as you mentioned, is the largest map in the map pool. You have a lot of breathing room as well. You have a little more room to work with as a meching player. So Maganatha, I want to say, is probably the best map for mech, even more so than Tokamak. I think I would go that far. So coming into the rest of these maps, we should be seeing Rogue have a bit of an easier time punishing and counterattacking and harassing. We saw there were a couple of moments, we were glossing over it a little bit, but there were a couple of moments there in that last game where Rogue was winning fights, right? He was able to take like 2 pretty big fights, like 2, maybe 2.5, where he was able to catch the army and then counterattack. But the problem is, because Maganatha is so big, by the time Rogue won the fight, pushed towards the bases, there were reinforcements. By the time that happened, GuMiho, he was able to make a stand, whittle away at the army, and he never lost a base. GuMiho, he never lost an expansion, never lost a mineral line. Economic damage was rare in that game for GuMiho. And again, the map helped because of that. Here, on some of these smaller maps, it means that if or when Rogue wins a fight, then he can punish the economy. Then he can break a base. That's the hope, at least. That is the hope. But here we go. We're getting into game number 2. Ooh. Spire. I barely knew. Oh, God. No. You're all animals. All animals. So here we go. Spawning in the right corner of ley lines, we have the South Korean Zerg player. We have the Blue Zerg representing Team Falcons down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. We'll see if he can recover and make a series out of this. It is Rogue. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the red Terran player. We have the South Korean Terran. Ooh, representing Seoul Esports, SAUL. It is GuMiho. Anyone cheer for GuMiho like Lost Boys cheered for Rufio and Hook? Yo, Rufio, let's go. Good times. But yes, it does line up quite well. It does. From here though. From here, we are going to be settling in, and we'll see how GuMiho does approach game number 2. Now, on the one hand, even though I was saying, you know, Magnatha, best map for that kind of style of mech, 100%, best map. That doesn't mean the other maps are bad. not at all. Just slightly worse in some ways, right? I would favor Rogue on some of the... I was gonna say I would favor Rogue on some of the other maps like Pylon, like Ultra Love, like Torches as well. Some of these smaller maps where maybe he can be more aggressive with roaches. But the reality is, Rogue, he isn't really that aggressive. Like, typically he thrives in the mid to late game. And if we start going into smaller maps, what's important is that GuMiho, he's not a one-trick pony. It's not like he only plays mech. No, that's not what's scary about GuMiho. What's scary about him is that he can play mech, is that he can switch things up, or he can play standard, right? He can ARAX, right? He can ARAX you. He can play bio as well. He doesn't have to rely on mech. That's what's terrifying about him, is that, like, sure, on one hand, some of these smaller maps might be worse for mech in some ways. They're better for bio, and GuMiho can switch things up back and forth. Here we go. Do have our initial Reaper Scouts out of GuMiho. This time he sets up on the high ground. He does not set up on the low ground like he did previously. As Reaper does move in and is looking for a drone kill. He shouldn't get it. Here the drone does pull away, does walk into the Spore, and with that, Rogue he is holding. Likewise does hide his drone here to take his faster third. Oh, what? Wait, what? Okay, the mind games. This is not a ninja base to get it, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to. This is designed to try to trick GuMiho into believing that he's going to base roach again. Okay, oh, and he snipes the Reaper as well. Very nice snipe. GuMiho with incoming information. He does go for a third CC before starport, so I would say a standard economic opener here out of GuMiho, but for all he knows, it's going to be 2-base roach. We know that there is a third on time, not on location, but at a standard timing here on the bottom right hand corner of the map. Now, as tricky as this is, I believe this is just a play standard, right? Like, you would not do this to go for an all-in. So I would imagine here we're just going to drone, we're going to saturate, we are pulling out. Yeah, we're pulling out of gas. So from here we're going to play out a standard game. The problem here is that GuMiho didn't ever react. Like, GuMiho, he already had his third CC in production. Oh. Okay. Going for a medevac. Going for a medevac, going for a drop play. Going for a Hellion drop. Are we going to throw down an armory? Are we going for Hellbats? That's what I would assume here, but the Roach one has been thrown down. Do you have a surge of Lings here to catch an unit? Yep, there it is, Hellbat. So again, the reason why we assumed Hellbat here is because typically we see an add-on into Banshee or Viking to deny vision. Going for a medevac this early on, what are we supporting? There's no Marines, but there are Hellions, so has to coincide with Hellbats, right? Now you can support Hellbats, so Hellbat push here out of GuMiho does move out across the map. Meanwhile, Rogue, he does have a surge of Lings here, and he will bypass the army, and GuMiho, he has nothing at home to defend. He has 2 Hellions. Oh. GuMiho moves out. Lings move in, they get us around, they catch one Hellion already, and GuMiho is caught with his pants down. There's 1 Hellion to defend. Boys are trapped, and GuMiho is racing back home. Does race back. SCV is going to be falling. Massive damage. 7 SCV kills already. Getting up to 8. And again, he's still not done. Oh, getting up to 9. And 9 SCV kills. That is brutal. Back at home, we need roaches. We need roaches because the Hellbat push is coming. Rogue has been droning. Oh. Despite having the roach one, he has been droning up. Now, GuMiho, he might be scared to push and he might just stay at home. There's a scan. Does see the roach warren. Yeah, and that might signify him to just stay at home. Yeah, bunkers on the way. He believes that there's a that there's a roach push coming. We know that Rogue's been droning. So far, this ninja base has worked out well. Like, he has tricked GuMiho into believing that the only option for him to go for is to go into a roach push, when really, he has always had the option to drone. So GuMiho is setting up with a bunker. He's keeping his army at home. Fun fact, if GuMiho had pushed with this army, GG. He just wins. like there's no roaches. There's nothing to defend. So if he had just moved out here and now, right after the defense, then he would have overwhelmed, and that would have been game. That would have been game. But GuMiho, he is terrified about a roach push that isn't coming. Hellbat dropping to the main. Rogue happily just saturating his bases. So really smart mind game so far here by Rogue. And now Rogue is up 20 drones. He'll bleed out a couple. 3 workers going down. We have plus on V. Oh, we're going to mech. We're meching it up, Abby. Let's go. We got plus on vehicle weapons. And there it is. We have a second and a third factory on the way. Now, can GuMiho survive this? What I mean by that, Rogue, he's gotten up to 3 base saturation. He is now focusing on Roach production, on Ling, Roach, Ravager. And yes, there are some tanks, but only a handful of them. There's only 2 tanks to work with. There's no shot we defend the third, so GuMiho is going to have to evacuate the third base, defend on 2 bases instead, and we'll see if he can actually pull off that defense. Because here comes the 3 base Roach all in, instead of the 2 base Roach all in that GuMiho was preparing for. And after we deny the third, ooh, scan, GuMiho again working with incoming information. He's now thinking, he's like, ooh, okay, you're just expanding. You're just not taking your third base. I should be ahead. And GuMiho, he would be ahead if there wasn't a third. The mind game's happy. Ah. So just a misread here from GuMiho. Third base is going to be delayed. The longer this is delayed, the better it is for Rogue. Rogue is expanding, and Rogue from here, he should just drone. He should just like saturate up to 80. Up to 80 workers. How about start dealt with? GuMiho going to be forced back. Oh. Let's go. Bars out one of the Vikings. Cheeky moves there out of Rogue. As GuMiho is going for another Hellion drop. Oh my god, he's crazy! That's a 7 HP medevac. 7 HP, the Queen is not quite in position though, but there are roaches. There are roaches, and he should not boost in. No shot.
Base is under attack.
The roaches are ready. Medevac does thankfully pull away. It's 1 shot away from falling. And Rogue is maxed. Rogue, he's maxed out. And now would be the time. I mean, I say now would be the time. Basically, Rogue, he ideally wants to back off. He wants to back off from here. He wants to lure GuMiho out into the open, out into this third position, because trying to break a 2-basing Terran, that's going to be difficult, even with a massive supply lead. But breaking a 3-basing Terran where they're spread out a little bit more, and now they're more exposed, more out in the open, now is the time. And here comes Rogue. Splits up the army. Does move in. And again, this is going to be a tough hold here for GuMiho. He's not going to be expecting this large of an army. And here he comes. Here he comes from behind. From the front as well. Boys are being pulled. Tank lines are exposed. And Rogue, he's done it. He's done it. He breaks through every single tank. Takes down the mineral line. And there's just nothing for GuMiho. There's nothing left. Again, GuMiho, he was tricked. He was tricked. He was caught with the pants down. Hellies, they do get across the map. They get into the mineral line, but they're not going to get much done. The Queens, they do hold their own. And again, GuMiho just over-defended early on. He believed it was a 2-base all-in, but it was really on 3 bases, so he delayed his third for so long. GG gets called. And Rogue, he does tie things up 1-1 with a very cheeky style. GG. GG. We're tied up 1-1. We're going to the ace match again. GuMiho just being fed incomplete information throughout the entire game, and that's what he was basing his responses off of. You know, he believed his opponent was on 2 bases. He believed that his opponent was going for a late third. He believed that he was ahead when he wasn't, right? There was just so much there that GuMiho just was unaware of. And with that, GG. With that, GG well played. Rogue, he does claim the game 2, and now we're going all the way to the ace match into tokamak. Let's go. Let us go. The pants, baby. Yeah. The pants. Aye. They were gone. But he did think he was wearing them. And this morning, in the top right-hand corner of the tokamak, we have our South Korean Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing Seoul Esports, being forced into the ace match with some massive mind games, by the way. We'll see if we can get a better handle on what it's up to. It is GuMiho. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player, or the blue Zerg player representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. We go. So we are going to be setting up. Whew, and settling in. And again, the big question becomes, Rogue, what do we do this time? Again, like, so much of that last game was predicated on just the incomplete information that GuMiho had accumulated throughout the entire course of that game. Can you do something like that again? Welcome to Tokamak. Tokamak is the second largest map in the map pool, second only to Magnatha. I say second largest, I mean, I have to get a ruler. I have to get a ruler and measure and compare like Tokamak to like Incorporeal, right? Incorporeal is the other large map. True, for sure. What I can say though is that Tokamak is more defendable, is much more defendable than Incorporeal, where you can secure yourself on 2, 3, 4 bases quite easily here. Because of that, I do favor going into mech. I do think that mech is quite strong on Tokamak, just because it's that much more difficult to kind of break and try to harass and hit some of these bases. The rush distance by ground is shorter on this map compared to on Magnatha, that's true, so counterattacks can hit harder, but the bases are more defendable. So we'll see what Rogue, or how Rogue approaches this. I do think that GuMiho is probably going to play mech again. Like, I can see mech working quite well here on Tokamak. From the side of Rogue, suddenly I would say going into something like Mutas is viable here, if he so chose to. Like, Muta play can be quite successful. Otherwise, we could just play Roaches. As Reaper does poke in, dances with the army. And so far no major losses here, does not get a Zergling, they'll get very low. They get very low, but they do survive. Behind this, GuMiho going for a third CC before Starport. Economic opener here out of GuMiho. Does go for an economic start. Oh, hello. We do have a tech lab on the way. And I'm curious here. We have a second ranks. Okay, this is not mech. This is a 3cc211. Again, the tech lab was a tell as to what was happening, and now we have confirmation. So early stim, early bioproduction, early stim timing. Meanwhile, 320 lair. Ooh, okay, so we're rushing into a fast lair. Now, I mentioned earlier how I can see like 2-base Muta. I said specifically Muta play. I can see that working here. I am concerned if we're going to go into gases and if we're going to be going into Muta play, specifically against a 2-1-1. Now, oh god, like, it's okay. So, this does scream Muta. I'm terrified. So, the problem here is that Mutas against a standard opener against a 1-1-1 into Hellion Banshee would be fine because everything that I just mentioned doesn't shoot up. Hellions don't shoot up. Banshees don't shoot up. If we go into Aspire here, again, we're rushing to a sim time. We're going to have Mass Marine. That is where Mutas can struggle. Assuming that we go for it, Spire is finishing. We have the Roach Horn to fully wall off, but the gases were prioritized. Do we go for the Spire or do we go into Roach Speed? There it is. Yeah, the drone moves out. That should be for the Spire. And this is almost like a series mind game. Oh no, the Hellies, they bust in. Thankfully, there are links to defend, and they do not deny the scouts. We do try to rush past. It's going to be close here, but scout is denied. But as we mentioned, this is almost a hard counter. I say almost. If this was a regular 2-1-1, this would be a hard counter. 3cc 2-1-1 hits later. It does hit like 30 to a minute later. But we have Mass Marine. And this means that the committing into mutas like this is not going to be as effective. Baliness is on the way. This sim timing is going to be brutal, but at least Rogue knows. And Rogue, again, his response, he's making a swarm of links, scan, reveals the Spire. Yeah, scan reveals the Spire. GuMiho is now aware of how vulnerable his opponent is, and now it's go time. Now it's go time. 3 more axes behind this. I could see GuMiho turning this into a 3-base all-in with an 8 racks. That would completely like shut down Rogue. Like, like I'll be very impressed if Rogue can survive that. Very impressed. The reasoning for this is because 0 upgrades, right? When you go into muta play, when you rush into mutas like this, you're sacrificing your Evo Chamber upgrades and your Link Bane upgrades to make mutas. So in a head-on fight, you're just going to be weaker than the bio army of your opponents, more so than usual. Now, GuMiho only moves out with a single medevac of Marines. Typically, you move out with 2, but you can see he leaves 1 at home and 1 to attack. So GuMiho doesn't commit. And again, I do like the idea of him going for a later timing. Of just defending back at home and then breaking out with 1-1 or with 2-2 upgrades. Because Rogue, he's going to be at 0-0 for quite some time. And he's going to be down in upgrades for even longer. So far, there's that 5-rack setup, and we are expecting to go up to 8 racks. Ooh, Rogue, he's all in. You can see it, Rogue is not droning. Rogue, he's not droning, he's not saturating his third, he's building up banelings, it's all or nothing. And this does make sense. As I mentioned, like I feel like Rogue is just going to get outscaled in the longer game, so he has to end the game here and now. He's going for it. He's going for the kill. Nice target firing. Bailing speed is not done. Pop pickup, does pull away, does abandon the third. And so far, very nice control here by GuMiho. Very nice crisis management to target down the banelings, to evacuate the base, to only lose 5 SCVs. And remember, Rogue is all in. Like, Rogue, now he starts +1 carapace. This is so late. He started this upgrade after he realized that he would fail to break his opponent. So a late upgrade, late realization. Now he's getting a second Evo chamber for +1 melee. And GuMiho has a lot of momentum here. Again, GuMiho almost 5 SCVs. Like, that was meant to kill. That was meant to cripple at least. Only 5 SCVs. You can see the music's just trying to buy time. They're just trying to buy time for banelings to finish. Oh, gets a Marine. Link Bane is amassing. Muta so far doing well. Again, just buying time. GuMiho starts up 2-2. Starts +2. Muta's a race back to delay some of the upgrades and to force back the army. Yeah, GuMiho turns back around. Go ahead and double jump across the map. Let's go for the double drop. Again, Rogue, he's trying to stabilize from here. Oh, does deny potentially. No. Once again, does threaten the upgrades. And then just keeping GuMiho busy. Drop across the map. Mind shots, they will. Oh, one of them will knock you off. Whew. Rogue, he's holding. He's holding, he's defending. Mutas, hey, they get some add-ons. They're buying time. And Rogue, he's getting back in this. He's getting back into this game. As GuMiho, his production here is, his production is slipping up a little bit here. I should say his macro. +3 yet to begin. GuMiho's got 1,000 minerals, almost 1,000 gas. Yeah, missing macro cycles. Does move out across the map instead. Oh, has to pull away, has to split. And again, GuMiho just doesn't have enough here. Oh, but he does deny the base. Does deny the expansion. Behind this, 12 SCV is going to be going down. Again, GuMiho still having a hard time spending his money. The macro has slipped. And that's why GuMiho is down in supply. He's down in that supply. Forcing up 21 SCV. Oh my god! Yeah, GuMiho is just being torn apart. His attention, I should say, having a really hard time keeping up with the mutas while attacking. 27 SCV kills. These mutas, they popped up. And again, no turrets. True, I should have mentioned that as well. GuMiho, he did decide to skip his turrets. He believed he could get away with it, and he didn't, right? He didn't get away with it. He lost so many SCVs. And Rogue, he's in this. Let's go. After a disastrous start, by the way, it was a very rough start for Rogue. But GuMiho, overconfident, he cut corners. Now he's making turrets after the fact. And Rogue, now he can tech. Now he can tech up. GuMiho finally spending his money. Mutas, they deny drilling claws. Nice pickup. Going for the factory as well. Once again, no turrets in the main. And the one turret in the main base, yeah, it's going to go down. In the middle line, I should say. Going for +3. Up. Oh, can he get it? He can. Yeah, and GuMiho just out of position here. Lings into the third, Lings into the fourth. When it rains, it pours, Spaffy. Hi. As he does thankfully lift his CC. Does lift. Now, what's important for GuMiho is that he can stabilize, right? It's like he can just hunker down. Welcome to Tokamak. We just mentioned, right? Like this map is known for being very defensive. So in a couple of moments here, he should be secure. We can see GuMiho is splitting up his army. He has a force on the left. He has a force here on the right. Rogue, if I want to be critical about Rogue, late infestation pit. Late pit, late hive here from Rogue. So ideally, by now, he would be making ultras, but he's not quite there yet. So that ultra switch is still on the horizon. Still a ways away, I should say. Oh, GuMiho. Yeah, once again, out of position. He tried everything towards the right-hand side. You get some really rough army movement here from GuMiho. Bandings are rolling in. GuMiho, he does trade well. Once again, the main base. No turrets on the production. No turrets in the main. And GuMiho, he now breaks out. Does break out, denies the base. I don't think GuMiho can take this fight, though. Again, he's fighting with only like a third of his army. Everything else just now racing back home. Mutas, they keep him busy. Another turret falls. And again, these mutas have been the MVPs for Rogue, just forcing mistake after mistake out of GuMiho. GuMiho, now it feels like he's all in at this point. He's just lost everything back at home. Kites well. But again, he's just running out of Marines, running out of army. And Rogue, he does it. He kills the main. Takes down the main base. Force to pull some boys. Bit of a shaky defense here from Rogue. Uh-oh. GuMiho stimming in. We need some more Ling Pain. Oh, GuMiho. Not paying attention. Yeah, not paying attention. Does take the mains to the face. He was distracted elsewhere. Once again, this keeps happening. This does keep happening. GuMiho, he was distracted. We'll lose a planetary. And again, it's all or nothing for GuMiho. Mine going up. Mine does go off. Another decent mine here on the Lings. But Mutas, they race back. Yeah, Mutas, they race back home. Rogue, he should defend. Kings up the Liberators. Rogue just cost him 17 drones, but he still has a booming economy, at least in comparison. Wouldn't mind resetting. GuMiho pushing in. Oh, mine shots are good. Okay, not bad. But still plenty of banelings. Yeah, plenty of banelings left over, and the Mutas, they should clean up. Yeah, GuMiho is just out of steam, out of money, out of Marines. GG gets called, and Rogue, he will take the series 2-1 after a crazy comeback. GG. Whew. GG, well played. As Rogue, he had a disastrous start. It was a disastrous start out of Rogue as he was caught out. The Mutas and the Link Bane failed to do any damage at the third base. It was a really rough position there for Rogue, but GuMiho was cutting corners. He himself was also cutting corners. He was skipping out on missile turrets. Likewise, he was not quite established, or he was having a really hard time keeping units in position at his third, at his fourth, in his main base. The Mutas just tore him apart completely, and we saw that while he was trying to defend, he was banking up 1,000 minerals, 1,000 gas. He was missing upgrades. He was missing macro cycles. Again, GuMiho had a really hard time keeping up, and Rogue pulled it back. GG well played. Very impressive there by Rogue. He does recover. He does take the series. Whew. GG. Oh, camera frozen. Uh-oh. That's not good. Hold on. I'll try to rectify that. Hold on. Un momento, baby. Un momento. I'm gonna have to restart something. Just catching up. Yes. I was practicing by pressing. Sorry, just catching up with the chat. Did it make turrets? He didn't have turrets in the main production, is what I mean. It's late to rebuild. When was this game played? Again, it was played last week. Played out last week. We're catching up on all those matches. But we're going to be going on a short break. I do have to fix up my webcam, so I'll be back soon. Un momento.